Hey viewers, I've got a pretty crazy idea. What if self-confidence doesn't really exist? Sounds pretty wild, huh? Well, I've had a number of really incredible life experiences that I want to share with you that make me strongly believe that we've been approaching the whole concept of building men's confidence completely wrongly. Want to find out more? Keep watching. I first got into trying to learn how to attract women when I was 20 years old. So that was 16 years ago. I feel pretty old. Anyway, it was 16 years ago. And I started going out and I started reading a bunch of books, listening to a bunch of videos, listening to a bunch of audiobooks about how to stand, how to walk, how to make eye contact, how to talk, how to carry yourself, what to say, all these things to do to be confident, right? To act confident, to convince women that I was a confident man. And, it became a bit of an act of learning how to mimic a confident human being. And so it was like, I've got to turn on the confidence. Oh, crap, it's a hot girl. All right, be confident. Turn on the confidence. Click, ding. Right, that was kind of the mindset. That was kind of the coaching process that I would go through, that I was going through, that people were giving to me, that more experienced guys were throwing at me as well. The way to think about confidence was as a thing that we had to turn on. To attract women. And I realized when I was first doing the pickup stuff and trying to learn that stuff as a younger man, I noticed there were a lot of guys who were getting success with women, but they never really felt confident. They felt cocky, but they kind of felt like insecure little boys at the same time, like insecure little boys who'd feel good about themselves by sleeping with women, but then they were still insecure. They'd still play insecure power games with other guys, and all this kind of crap was going on. And it didn't feel right. That didn't feel like true self-esteem. And so I started to get really heavily involved in my own self-development outside of women. And of course, one of the most incredible books that I came across at the time, you've probably heard of before, is called The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. And that book really, it spoke to something inside of me. And a number of my friends said, hey, if you really liked this book, there's a course that a guy runs in Sydney based on the book. It's based on, he's worked with David Data himself, and it's based on that work. And I thought, gee, I got to do this course. Now, normally they didn't accept guys as young as I was at the time. I think I was 22 when I did the program. Normally they only accept guys over 25. But after an interview, he said, yeah, okay, I'll let you in. And I learned something really interesting during that course. Or rather, I was told something. People were looking at me. Part of the program was for men to really observe you and tell you what they see. And what I learned about myself was that when I thought I was being confident around other men, around women, around people in general, what I was really doing was putting on a mask. I was wearing a facade of confidence. And it was really a form of cockiness, and a performance to try to act like I knew exactly what I was doing, like I had total control of the situation. And it was an act. It was a mask. I was never really feeling confident. In fact, I couldn't remember the last time I really felt confidence. And that confused me because up till then I thought I was becoming quite confident in myself. And I thought, what is confidence? And I sort of sat with this. I sat with this for weeks and weeks. And I was watching a comedian that was making a joke. And normally I don't learn a lot of my attraction skills from comedians. But the comedian said at one point, he was making a joke and he said, if you've got to turn on the suave, you're not really suave. And I thought, shit. If you've got to turn on the self-confidence, you're not really confident. That feels right somehow, right? That feels if you've got to act confident, you're not really a confident man. And it got me thinking. I started thinking more and more about this, and I thought, wait up. What really is self-confidence? What is it? And I realized it's a lot like darkness. Darkness doesn't exist. The dark is not a real thing. Darkness is just what exists when you remove light. Darkness is what exists when, when there is no particles in the air to bounce off your eyeballs to tell you that there's something to be seen. Darkness itself is not a real thing. It's just what exists in the absence of something else. And I realized when I thought about the men who I'd met, and I'm sure you've had this too, you've gone through life, and every now and again you meet a man and it's just like, ooh, he feels solid, he feels confident. Not cocky, not arrogant, he's not saying anything. In fact, he doesn't even have to talk much, but he feels confident. What is that about him? And actually, it's because the confidence that you feel isn't a real thing. The confidence that you're feeling is just what's left when you suck out all the insecurity. And when we're around these men or women who just feel at a gut level like confident human beings, that's all we're feeling. We're just feeling like they're being unapologetically them, right? They don't have to act. They don't have to do anything strange. They're just being who they are without the insecurity. Now, I don't ask you to believe me based just on my words alone. Look inside your gut, because this was a very gut realization for me, right? If you think about it, that's what real self-esteem is. Think in your gut. What would you rather be? A guy who's pretending to act, stand, walk, communicate, talk in a certain way so people think he's confident? Or someone who doesn't pay any attention to the insecurities? Someone who is just who they are without those insecurities getting in the way? Now, that sounds lovely, but how do you achieve that? Now, I'll tell you something that's bad news. I'll tell you right now, you will never, ever have no insecurities. I've been working on myself for a long time. I'm a pretty confident guy, but heck, I've got little insecurities. You're always going to have them. That's life. That's to be human. But what you can certainly do, in the habit you need to start building now, is start thinking about when you meet a woman, when you meet some friends, when you go out to a networking event and you talk to people you've never met before, you need to start asking yourself, stop trying to pretend to be confident. First of all, it's a mindset. It's a way of thinking about self-confidence that I think leads a lot of people astray and makes a lot of people appear fake, right? But instead, ask yourself, what would I be if I just ignored my insecurities, right? They're still going to be there. They're still going to be yammering away in my head. Oh, what if they reject me? Oh, what if they laugh at me? All that stuff's going to be going on. But just think, what would I be if I heard them but ignored them? If I just was who I am in spite of those insecurities? And the more that you practice this, the more that you think to yourself, what would I do if it wasn't for the insecurities? Forget the pickup literature. Forget what I've been told by dating coaches. Who would I be if I sucked that other stuff out? And that can be a very interesting practice. And that's what I've done in my life as well. Right? I have learned to stop trying to be confident and instead just ask myself, who would I be if the insecurities weren't there? I don't try to be confident. I never try to be confident. I just try to be who I'd be without listening to the garbage, the psychobabble going on in my own head. And honestly, that has been the key for not just myself, but thousands of my clients as well, was learning to make the paradigm shift. Drop the attempts to be self-confident. Drop the attempts to impress through your body language. Instead, let your body language change dynamically as you stop listening, as you stop paying so much attention to the stuff going on in your head. Have you done this before? I'd be so curious to hear if you've thought of this before, if you've practiced this before. How has it gone for you? Let me know in the comments below. If you've liked my channel, of course, don't forget to subscribe by clicking the subscription button right here and check out some of my other videos alongside it on the side there. I'm Damien. Stay safe during this current apocalypse. Take care.